Push it real good.
That was awesome.
It's great.
Just lost half the viewers waiting, Snoop.
Edit that shit
That's a
out.
good way to come in.
No, it's gonna be great. How's it going, everyone? I am Snoop603. Welcome to Dawnbreaker podcast. This is episode 22. Yes, it has gone under a bit of a rebranding, although that may have been covered last week when I was out. My apologies for being out. I was sick as a dog, and you don't want to know the details. Just know that it was brutal and not fun whatsoever. But I'm back, and I'm feeling fucking wonderful. Joining us this week, the usual guests, Epona, Scanner Barkley, and a return guest, we have Chalk from Battlefield Podcast.
Chalk! No?
Who we got in the chat? We got Slats, we got Crazy, we got Juan Enrique. First order of business, Patreon. The Patreon has still been holding on pretty well. We've had a little bit of a fallback on it, but by no means is it doing bad. It's still doing really well. However, we have fallen short of a goal that we had been at, and I would really like to see us get back to that goal. So, if you could do us a favor, please, check out the Patreon if you haven't yet. But also, for those that have, that know about it, that support it, and you like everything that we do with Dawnbreaker, and you want to see it continue to help, to grow and get bigger, whole 9 yards. One of the best ways of growth is through not necessarily just social media, but word of mouth. And with you guys helping to spread the word on everything Dawnbreaker, that helps us immensely. It's one thing to be a fan of it and just be supportive, but if you guys go that extra mile and continue to tweet out articles that go up, tweet out the stream when we're live, just be active in the forums, bring it up wherever applicable. Cannot express to you how grateful we would all be for that. We have grand visions for the site, and it cannot get done without the support of you guys that are there to help us out and love it and want to support it and see it grow. So, there's that. Was there anything else that we wanted to discuss before getting into the podcast itself?
Make sure you always retweet my articles, because I want a cushy job as a games writer.
There you go.
No,
Help
not
Scanner.
journalist, because I have almost zero respect for journalists, because they have to do stuff like find out the actuality of situations and report in the news.
Like
Whereas
facts.
if you're a games writer, you just get to talk about how games make you feel. That's far more lazy.
Link, that's it. Cool. The only thing I didn't do was tweet out the stream. My bad. That's all right. I'll get to it in a second when there's an appropriate moment. Oh, you did? Well, in that case, I'm just going to retweet it. Retweets. Easy peasy. All right, so we have actually a bunch of topics. We had one left over from last week, and I want to cover that first before we get to what is most assuredly going to be the biggest topic of the night, which is Valve and their sudden 180 regarding paid mods, which came out in the last hour, actually, and they've, like I said, complete 180, no more paid mods. It would be interesting to see how this all pans out. There's no way in hell that this is the last that we hear about this. This is going to come back up, and very soon, it'd be very interesting to see how it re-manifests itself, though. Before we get into that, I do want to get to last week's topic. There's only one left over. It's from Shoemass508. Do you think games will take on the same tactic as PT, where the player gets a taste for the direction of the game? Or was PT just a one-and-done tactic? For those that aren't familiar with what the PT was, I myself was not familiar. It is the Silent Hill teaser playthrough. Jess, you're actually much more familiar with this, so I'll let you explain it to the
familiar?
Ignorant like myself.
All right. Well, last summer, there was a mysterious demo that popped up on the PlayStation Store, and it was simply called PT, just the 2 letters. And people started downloading it and playing it, and it turned out it was a horror game. And when you finished it, it wasn't a game, it was a demo. And when you finished it, you got to see a little cinematic teaser of the new Silent Hill game. And it was revealed that, it was by Kojima, and it was their new Fox engine that they made. And gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous game, awesome atmosphere. I played through it on Twitch. I'll probably grab the link and put it down in there if you guys are interested. But basically, I just screamed and was terrified the entire time. It was really good, and it brought a lot of hype to the Silent Hill, the next iteration, in the series, and people were really excited about it, and now it's canceled. It's all done.
It's
So,
dead.
I mean, I guess this is kind of a faceted topic, because that is definitely a hot topic in gaming news right now, and also Shoemass's question was kind of related to PT. I thought it was an awesome tactic because people were like, what the hell is this? And it was so good, and it was not too long, not too short. You really had no idea what was going on. Like, you had to look into it yourself, and I think that's what made people so interested, and they got so into it and invested. And so, I mean, I thought it was an awesome tactic for really getting the hype going on games. But you can't do that and then fucking cancel this game that everyone's waiting for.
Well, like Crazy Cookie said, it's like they're just shooting themselves in the feet. It kind of goes back to what I just said. Word of mouth is extremely important for explosive growth on something. Obviously, having something worthwhile is also mandatory, and that's what they had. Like, they forget like the whole mass media, huge advertising budget hype train a la EA. They did something kind of unique, at least as far as I know it was pretty unique, and they let the game speak for itself and build its own hype through the actual gameplay. That was fucking smart. They came out and they did something. They grabbed the industry by the balls and they said, listen, fuckers, this is how you hype. And people that were interested in it, they were like all over it. And all of a sudden they're like, you know what? That looked pretty good, but fuck you. And they canceled it.
Yeah.
Although, to be honest, I haven't heard...
You don't know why they cancelled it. I'm not being a dick,
No, I
this
agree.
is a
That's
cart
literally
before
what I
the
was just about to say.
Conversation.
I do not know why... No, that was just me being a sarcastic wise ass. You literally took the words out of my mouth. I do not know why they canceled it. And I was about to ask, has anyone heard as to why they canceled it?
I don't think they've said. I think they just barely got around to confirming it.
Yeah.
Konami, the only way to speak about Konami right now is to look at them as your childlike self looked at David Bowie in Labyrinth. As in confusion and mild horror. Because who knows what the fuck they're doing right now. They've cancelled Silent Hills. They've cancelled... they've, from what we can see, pretty much fired Kojima. Yeah. Nobody knows what's really going on with the future of Metal Gear Solid. They're in a really weird kind of fucked up spot right now, and it's largely because they don't seem to care anymore about their gaming side, because it's a small part of their business.
What's the other part?
I didn't even know they had other stuff.
Everything. Like, they have everything in Japan. Konami do. One of the things I actually learned today is that they've got like big money invested in like gambling and shit.
Oh,
interesting.
And it's like apparently there's like really weird, complex stuff happening on a legal front around gambling in Japan and the legalizing of it, and obviously they would benefit like monumentally were it to be legalized. So, like, it's crazy what's going on with Konami right now. It's almost impossible to figure out, like, what it is that they're thinking or what it is that they're doing or what it is that they want to do. But if we treat them like a sane business, the reason they cancelled Silent Hills is because they didn't think it was going to sell.
That's crazy.
But here's the thing. How many times was PT downloaded?
I do not know.
Go
the
ahead,
numbers.
keep discussing. I'll look it up.
Who fucking knows? How many people enjoyed PT? Who fucking knows? Having a load of nerds, like, not being
And it was
disrespectful,
free.
but having a load of nerds like us be turned on by something means fuck all when it comes to actually making money. Like, you're appealing to a tiny core group of people who, I say this nearly every week, who like talk about games on Twitter enough to feel like we're somehow representative of things that we're not. It could have been like a complete flop. It's impossible to know. There's no real numbers or anything out there.
PS4,
what it is...
I got a number for you. PS4's PT Silent Hills demo downloaded more than 1 million times.
That's fuck all. A million times for something that's free, something that's attached to something like Silent Hills. If I'm making a game and I'm expecting people to be so interested in it that they, like, it moves 1 million copies. Oof. No way.
That's odd. I was under the impression that it did way better than that.
Like,
It could be related to some of the stuff that they got going on internally. Clearly, there's some issues staffing-wise, or probably some sort of disagreement or whatever. But if you want to get back to the original question about whether or not companies should do that kind of stuff more, releasing like sort of a demo, I guess single-player games would probably benefit from that fairly well to give you an idea of the atmosphere, especially in a game like Silent Hill, where you get that. I watched you play it, Jess, and it wasn't very long at all. In fact, most of it was just repetitive, to be honest. But it gave you a pretty good sense of what the atmosphere in that game might be like. And that's something you can't bring that across in a trailer or in anything else. So, but there's also an investment to consider there, right? Like if you build some stuff like that and release it, it costs the company money. So I think a lot of them will weigh the options of doing something like that versus just hyping it with some video trailers. Yeah. And say, you know what, it's a lot cheaper for us to just make some video trailers and say, screw it. Like, we've seen so much. I mean, demos used to be common, right? If you think back 10, 15 years ago, everything had a demo.
Magazine had a demo disc.
Yeah, and you barely would buy a game without having played the demo first, just because you wanted that experience. But then again, there was really no other way of conveying what your game was like. You didn't have the ability to have,
video,
HD trailers and stuff like that. You didn't have that.
I think I'd like to see demos become more back in vogue than they have been recently, but this is going to sound terrible of me to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Looking in any way at the Japanese games market as being some kind of trendsetter on sense is a really bad idea right now. Because stuff is fucking nuts over there. You got Konami are going nuts. You got Nintendo are going nuts. Square Enix, whilst I absolutely adore them, seem to feel that the only way to make a game is to spend at least $300 billion fucking dollars to do it, and then be super pissed afterwards when it doesn't sell 800 billion fucking copies and make you back your money.
Well, and clearly the trend is that demos have been replaced by open betas, especially on the multiplayer front, right? We all know that a lot of those betas have basically become demos. They're not true betas, and it's easy for them to do. They just turn it on for a couple of weeks, and here you go. Costs them barely anything.
If his name ain't Miyazaki, I ain't listening to no developer these days. That's my stance.
I don't even know who that is, so I can't call.
Oh, he's in doubt. From Software, bro. From Software.
There we go. Is there anything else we want to discuss on this before we move on to what I feel is going to be the hot topic of the night?
Nah, I've been potentially xenophobic already, so I think we can move on.
Bam, we're going right for it. All right, Valve mods no longer. They removed paid mods from Steam. Have at it. Who wants to? Scanner, just jump right on it.
I have lots of thoughts. I said them all in a video where I thought it was going to be a reasonably epic failure on the part of Valve. I firmly agree with trying to get modders paid because they put in a lot of work and they deserve their time and they bring value to an IP that's, often on its last legs before modders show up and do cool shit with it. Some IPs like Arma-based game sucks all the balls in the universe without mods. That's just the way it is. Mods make that game not only playable, but also fantastic. So I want to see mods and modders get rewarded. But Valve have a history of wading into stuff and absorbing body shots for days because they can afford to do it. No matter what it is they do. If it's early access, if it's Steam Greenlight, they can fuck it up, and they can fuck it up for a while, and they don't have to give a shit or care because they're still making boatloads of cash. With the mods thing, the guys who were actually left out in the cold on this are the modders. It's like Bethesda and Valve both saw a potential way to make more money off something which existed anyway, and they said, oh, it's a way for us to get the modders paid. But now it's the modders who are left out in the cold because two companies that could afford to do so rushed a process that should never have been rushed. Here's what should have happened, he said, cockily. If I'm Valve and Bethesda and I'm sat there thinking, okay, we want to start doing paid modding, What I do is turn to the biggest modders in the community. And I NDA the living fuck out of them, and I tell them, if anything leaks on this, I will sue you to the prehistoric age, and you'll never even be able to afford to turn on a fucking toaster again, let alone a computer. And I bring them into the process. I say, right, we're going to start doing paid modding. What we need is content. We can't retroactively start charging for stuff that already exists. We need to treat this like the launch of any other content for a game. If you want in on this, you guys are the best at what you do. You've got the most downloads, you've got the highest ratings, you've got the best quality, you're fantastic. You've got fucking 6 months. You got to come up with something that's going to be worth charging for. And then you've got a team of modders producing new things, exciting new things that people haven't seen before. And you've got a huge time frame to bed everything down, to think very carefully about refund policies. You're talking specifically with the people who are going to be affected in the biggest way should it go wrong. And you're getting the concerns of the gamer. And not just the gamer, but the gamer who's passionate enough about the game to sit there and create new things for it. Like, that's what they should have done. It just feels like they waded in, that Valve's internal system of any idea is a good idea because we don't need to give a fuck was never going to work here. There was no checks and balances in place. They had nobody in there going, this could generate huge backlash. They seem to be genuinely surprised that people are having a very negative backlash towards it, which is astounding to me. In the modern age of social media, where we get mad about fucking everything, it should have been done so much better. It's a key stage for gaming to hit, is the empowerment of communities by IP holders to generate new content and benefit from it financially. That's where we are right now. We're doing it all the time with fucking content, so why can't modders do it with content?
So what in your opinion is the most legitimate reason that this was not good, not well done? Because I've heard lots of it, and a lot of it is just whining, to be honest.
The only reason that I think it wasn't particularly well done was that it was handled poorly as an announcement. As an actual launch of a thing, it was bad. I'm not saying the thing itself was bad. I'm completely in agreement with you that the one thing I saw most parroted on social media over the last week or so was people saying, I want modders to be able to make money, but I don't want them to be able to make money off me.
Yeah.
Like, they were all like, oh, I think a donate system is better. Do you know why I love charity? Because I don't have to fucking give to it.
Well, I'm sure modders already had a PayPal link somewhere on some stuff anyways. Yeah. I mean, that's not new.
I just think it was poorly handled as a launch of what's effectively a new product. I think it was badly done. I think Valve almost anticipated that it was being poorly done because it just suddenly appeared. It was suddenly just a thing. It's like, oh, we did this also. Look, yeah, see ya. Gabe wasn't even around the day it launched, and he wasn't around the day after. Like, that doesn't strike me as something that's been considered highly important by Valve. It felt like a kind of a throwaway, we're seeing how this goes, which you can't do. Because it's not Valve who are being fucked over here, it's the modders. Because all of a sudden everybody's willing to sit there and go, oh, modders are money-hungry fuckers.
Yeah, like, they definitely got the short end of the stick there when suddenly people are blaming the modders for trying out this new system. That's misdirected anger for sure. Yeah.
It left too many variables to possibly fail. You had mods that were being pulled down over, problems with who actually owned the mod because of the massively incestuous nature of the mod community, where people use each other's code and they use each other's assets and who owns what. This is why I think a huge length of buffer time where like the really talented guys get to create from scratch new things and they will go ham, because they're thinking, I can charge for this. I can pour every spare moment I have into something for 6 months. And I can make it incredible. And then instead of all this, remember all that stuff you used to have? Well, now there's this, and it costs money. you've got, holy fuck, I can buy this for like $5. This is incredible. And people aren't freaking out. They're not sitting there thinking all the retroactive mods are going to be charged for. I've got like 100 Skyrim mods downloaded. Holy fuck.
Yeah, but in that scenario, I know I've seen people complain about that, but it's not like you're suddenly going to get a bill for the mods you downloaded last month.
Yeah, I'm not saying you will.
Right.
I'm saying that there's no point in, when it comes to like handling your brand or handling any big message that you're putting out there, you limit the ways that people can freak out negatively to it. You don't add to them. That was their mistake. It was it was a piss poor launch for anything. If Apple had done it, if Microsoft had done it, if anybody had done it.
No, I guarantee you if Apple had done it, nobody would complain. It's a whole different culture when it comes to the Apple sort of atmosphere and space of things. Just shaking her head because she knows it's true.
I'm just rolling my eyes.
It would have been a pristine message. Like, say what, I fucking hate Apple. They're shite. All their products are shite. They're overcharging for what they're selling. But Jesus fucking Christ, their brand and their message is perfection.
But don't you think Valve thought that their brand as far as PC gaming was, that their brand was strong enough to do something like that? Well, I'm a little disappointed, to be honest, that they did the 180 and that they pulled it down so quickly, because it feels a little bit like they just gave in as opposed to trying to fix it. I'm sure they'll come back at some point, but right now it seems like a bit of a chickening out move.
Oh, for sure.
There was on both sides of it, and even I'm a little like, oh, really?
There was a lot of negative press there, and they didn't like that.
I think it was the smart decision to pull out. It'll come back, like we discussed earlier, and as you all just yourself said, it will come back. It will remanifest itself in some fashion. But because of the just astronomical amount of negative backlash, how do you not pull it down? It was becoming a PR nightmare. And I get it. Valve kind of has this, quote-unquote monopoly going on because they're pretty much the place to go when you want to play a PC game online. I think it's going to work, and they will bring it back. But how they handled it, everything with Skinner had said earlier, I wholeheartedly agree with. I think the big thing that really pissed people off, too, was aside from the obvious fact of what used to be free, you now have to pay for. Granted, not all the pricing is going to be astronomical. That's a different story. I think a lot of people were pissed off at the percentages, too. Like, the modders are doing all the legwork. Yeah, I know the developers and stuff created the games and gave the opportunity for modders to make something, but the modders, in most senses, are what are keeping games alive to this day. Do you really think Skyrim would be able to keep dragging on this long if it weren't for all the modders that were making it friggin' glorious beyond reason? And as people have pointed out, Valve itself, like, they owe the vast majority of their success to modders for creating all these games from mods based on the few IPs that Valve themselves own.
So then buy an IP. Like, I don't even care for that argument, because business is business. If I'm the platform, I get my percentage. If I'm the IP owner, I risked my job, 150 other people's jobs, and an enormous amount of money repeatedly to get these modders their playpen.
But
so I don't even entertain this whole, like, this is just the way the world works. If you own something, you fucking own it.
Yeah, I get that. It's not like this is new. The mods have been going on for years. So it's not like there's some all of a sudden overnight unexpected risk that they didn't know about before. It's not like they're going in uncharted waters. This has been going on for a long time. They already knew what the risks were. Any that were there have already been established and dealt with at this point. So
yeah, but you also need to understand that your argument that the game has been out for so long or whatever, and mods have given life to it, also needs to be met with the contradictory indicator that depreciation of value of a new game. Okay, so a mod goes up on Steam right now that generates 5 sales of Skyrim in the next Steam sale. Wow, 5 sales of Skyrim at $5 a piece. You know what I mean? Like, modders are also directly benefiting from this from publishers endlessly like undercutting themselves on their own products for Steam sales and stuff. Things need to be looked at within their actual like environment that they're sold and that they exist on. Not just a game is worth $60, because on Steam a game is not worth $60. Skyrim is worth $5. Because if I can't get Skyrim for $5 right now, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow when there's a good chance I can get Skyrim for $5. So how many sales of Skyrim were generated by modders at this incredibly low value for the publisher? And what exactly are these modders bringing in coffers-wise, as opposed to like just maintaining an active player base?
True. It's hard to say.
And Steam offers what's probably the easiest platform to distribute your mods to. Like if you're a mod maker for a game like Skyrim, where there's that many mods already, and you start fresh now. Let's say you sit down, you got a great idea for your mod, and you want to do it. Without Steam, it'd be really difficult to reach the player base, right? I mean, I know Skyrim has that Nexus mod manager, so there's some things, but they're all sort of taped together, disparate things that aren't well connected with Steam. It's literally one click. It's really easy for the players to get mods.
Yep.
And all that's free to the modder. The hosting's free. The advertising's free, basically. The discussion forums, all that stuff is all right there. Like it's no different than any other system where you're selling apps or themes for WordPress or graphics on DeviantArt or any of that stuff, right? Like selling content for an existing platform isn't new in itself.
It'd be different if you had a mod that resulted in greater value than the original IP.
That would be really difficult to measure, though.
Yeah,
like
that
how
would
would you put it? How would you do that? How would you quantify that?
Exactly. The reason that stuff like Skyrim has such a successful modding community is because Skyrim was such a success. It's not backwards. It's not like modding made Skyrim. It's like, no, that's Skyrim made Skyrim. And then Skyrim was so big and it was, so open that people wanted to mod for it. That was it. I don't mind the split because Valve were taking less of a split than they were off their normal sales. 5% less. They normally get 30%. They were getting 25% of this. Devs Pub's split was 75, and then they were deciding how much the modders were going to get, and other devs could decide to give them less or more.
Oh, so that was up to the developer, the publisher.
Yeah, but
that's cool. Okay.
Bethesda put their...
They took 50%, did they?
Yeah, they put their value down as 50% is for us. And believe me, I was reading enough like interviews and stuff with developers and with publishers and with everything else that 25% to modders was viewed with envy by developers. Fucking envy, because that's a hell of a lot more than they'd get.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about the guys who like originally created the games are on worse terms than the modders, and people are bitching about this. How's about you stop bitching about that and you start bitching about the terms that the developers get, which seems to be a more important issue right now.
So were there any modders, any prominent modders that were actually upset with this whole move? Or was it just the consumer?
It seemed for the most part to be the consumer.
Yeah. And
So,
what, you had a 24-hour return policy, right?
yes. One of the more interesting
Which
things.
is very generous, by the way, compared
you
to...
don't get that with
everything
games.
else.
No, you don't.
You don't get it with
shit all
Apple
over
apps.
consumer rights all day.
Google's Play Store gives you a 10-minute refund policy, I think. So you have 10 minutes to see if the stuff you just bought works.
Wow.
So 24 hours is pretty generous to get your money back.
Valve are aware of the system that they have set up that benefits like them. People misinterpret Valve all the time as being some kind of gregarious leader, and the whole Gaben memes and all that, it's all vomit. But what they've got is they've got a conveyor belt of people with disposable income, and you sit on the conveyor belt when you log into Steam. You sit down and you're like, right, Steam, I've logged in. Fire up the conveyor belt, and the conveyor belt just swings you past all kinds of random shit. And you reach out and you go, boop, I'll spend money on that, and I'll spend money on that, and I'll spend money on that.
That's
This
what all
had-
those curated lists were meant to do, right?
Yeah, this has the potential to get you off the conveyor belt. And that's what they were worried about. So they shot it in the face. End. It was bad business. They killed it.
Yeah, I feel like somebody panicked. And my personal opinion is that they shouldn't have. I think they should have stuck to their guns.
They
I
thought the
don't
minions were turning against Gabe, and
Yeah,
let
at
them.
the-
Honestly, what? So what?
I think it was kind of
least what they should have done was issued a statement where it's not like dead, but they issue a statement where they're taking on board feedback
Sure.
and they're going to implement changes and then they're going to go back to it.
And if all the modders in the meantime decided they didn't want to put a price on their mods, they were free to do so, right? Nothing was a forced price. It's not like suddenly you had to charge for your mods.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was the one thing I never actually got to figure out. Like, if you created a mod, did you absolutely have to charge a price,
no.
or
there were three options: free, a set dollar amount, or a pay what you want
okay?
thing. So I could even say, you know what? Here, if you want to pay $2 for my mod, go ahead. If you don't, fine. Like it was really flexible.
Why not just default everything to pay what you want while they're making their changes or taking on board feedback?
I would
even
assume it
that's
all
the better
defaulted to
solution.
free unless you changed it, but I don't know. I have no idea what the Steam stuff looks like for modders.
So,
And it
It
also
just
only
seems
started
to
with
be-
Skyrim, right? They didn't apply this to all mods across all games. They used Skyrim as sort of their launch pad.
yeah.
sounds like from the wording, I'm looking at the PC Gamer press release and the quotes from Kroll, that he says, we believe there's a useful feature here, somewhere here, and if you have feedback, keep sending us your thoughts. So I don't know, that I feel like that's a little bit like, okay, we might revisit some version of this again.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's coming back. I mean, this is the company that sells you boxes of digital cards for real money.
True.
So yeah, it's coming back. I just wish they hadn't done it right now because it feels so much like just bending over for a bunch of people that are whining about stuff. And maybe it's because I'm old and grumpy, but it just, what's the point of having all this power that Valve has if you can't push the market in what is, in my opinion, a positive direction? Are you going to get kicked in the face a couple times? Of course you are. But that's what you do. If you're a leader in stuff, you do that. You take your licks and you make things better. Sure, you improve on the feedback that you get, but you don't just fold over and have a post in a Steam community forum by some guy who works there saying we didn't know what we were doing. Talk about bad PR. Like, did you read that quote? It literally said we had no idea what we were doing. It's basically like, oh, well, we fucked that up. Sorry.
Pressure attack. Sorry, I had two separate trains of thoughts. I didn't know which one I wanted to go with. One thing I meant to bring up earlier was this kind of came as a big scare to the community because they realized, like, fuck, Valve can do whatever they want, and we have there's nothing we can do about it except sit here and stomp our feet and cry as loud as we possibly can until we hopefully get our way. But if we don't, well, what are you going to do? Where do you go? If you don't have Steam, where do you go?
You don't buy the mods if you don't want to pay for them.
Well, I'm not talking about mods. I'm talking about just like in general, Valve and Steam. If you decided that you really, for whatever your personal reasons were, did not support what they were doing with the paid mods thing, you just felt that that was a step in the wrong direction, and you could not be a part of or support in any way, shape, or form moving forward. You said, you know what, fuck it. I'm done with Steam. I'm done with this company. I personally cannot support this. I'm going to go on and use something else. What other options are there?
I mean, you can buy a lot of games outside of Steam, and if you don't, that's a consumer choice you make. If I decide I don't want to support the milk companies anymore, I stop drinking milk. Yeah, in my opinion, you can't have it both ways.
No, let me rephrase.
I know what point you're trying to make.
Well, no, I literally no, seriously, I don't know what other options are there other than Steam. Are there any?
Connected.
For what?
Yeah,
For
it depends
just
on
all games in general. I mean, I know Origin. You've got all your EA games there, and I think some.
They've been
who else?
adding other ones as well from different publishers.
And you've got Uplay. There was two more that I read about, and I can't remember. But they're they're kind
Humble
of
Bundle GOG, Greenland Gaming, Gamersgate,
Buying physical copies at the store.
the 8-Bit Studios one, direct from just about every publisher themselves on their own store.
There's very few games. The thing if you decided you would never use Steam again, the thing you'd probably miss out the most would be a lot of the indie titles because they don't have the infrastructure to sell them themselves. They can only sell them through Steam.
Yeah.
But if you're talking AAA titles, you're always going to be able to get them somewhere else.
okay.
The only thing you'd really miss if you decided never to use Steam again would be like Dota. Dota and Team Fortress. CSGO,
Yeah, you miss
I guess.
some of the community functions like the friends list and everything that comes with that. But
Like Steam
I
is a
think
good
it's
system,
not as-
but it's just a
yeah.
system.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand.
So yeah.
All right. I think we've beat that up enough. We're about 40 minutes in. There are a bunch of other topics I do want to get to because the community was gracious enough to bless us with quite a good number of topics we can go over tonight. The next topic, the first topic of the night for this week specifically, should be from Lucas Gaming. It kind of goes along the line with everything we just talked about. So, for the sake of trying to diversify the discussions as much as possible, I'm going to skip it for the night. Lucas, I'm sorry. Next one's from
Suck
Misled.
it, nerd.
Next one's from Misled Penguin. Expectations versus reality. Should we hype or even think highly of unreleased games? How high should our expectations be, or how low? And should we blame marketing, or should we blame ourselves? Are we
Did
just
that
setting
last
ourselves
week.
up for Oh, we did?
Yeah.
I wonder if he thought that you guys didn't cover it. Okay.
Should have
Skipping
watched the fucking podcast then.
I know. All right, he had another one. Misled Penguin again. Black Ops 3 beta. Discuss. There you go. Discussion over.
I know nothing of it, so
It honestly looks like a bit of a cross of everything that Call of Duty always has been, and then like a little bit of Advanced Warfare and Titanfall thrown in there too. Honest to God, there's no other difference. And that's being as objective about it as I can. I'm not like hating on it. That is the fucking game. Everything they showed, that's what it is.
I read that to get into beta, you have to pre-order the game.
Really.
Like, as I said, I just read it. Like, I can't confirm or deny.
I will check. But you know what? I did try. I watched the trailer and I read a quick little thing, and I think you're right.
at least that's a legitimate pre-order bonus, though.
Yeah, but putting the
Yeah.
beta behind a quote unquote
It's kind
paywall.
of gross, though.
It is.
Because a lot of people would use a beta as a demo to decide if they want to buy a game.
You can always cancel your pre-order though,
Yeah.
depending on who you get it through. I don't. Are there
Be able to
any?
cancel it.
I was gonna say, are there any businesses out there that wouldn't let you cancel it? Like I know if you go through the traditional brick and mortar stores like Best Buy or Target or anything like that, you'd easily be able to cancel that. You
You can even cancel it on Steam. I've done that before.
Heathen. You made Gaben a promise.
Scanner, I do believe you are right. You do need to pre-order. There's two editions. There's the standard digital edition, and then there's the deluxe edition for $100, which gets you the
Alright.
season pass.
I strongly disagree with such shenanigans from any developer, so I'm going to add that to Treyarch's list of why they can suck a dick. It's like one of the things that I do find like highly interesting about the game and slightly suspect is Activision are very proud of this kind of theory that they keep all the developers in isolation of each other. Like the developers are in no way influenced by each other. Sledgehammer do their thing and Treyarch do their thing, and then the other fucks. Who's the other group of nerds?
Infinity Ward.
Yeah, Infinity Ward. They drool in the corner and make shit ones that even COD people hate.
Well, they did
So-
had COD 4, like that was their like yay, and then everything after that.
So they're like really proud of the fact that, oh, everything happens in isolation and the teams don't influence each other. It just so happens that these two completely developed in isolation games have kind of similar movement systems. But don't worry about that. Don't worry about that too much. In one game, it was exoskeletons. It was outside the body that was facilitating this. But in this, it's robot legs. They're very different. Don't fret. So it's still the same old shit. They're just trying to drive a kind of a culture throughout their player base because they know it's the same fucking people who buy each one each time.
Yeah.
And all those people know the games are going to have the same flaws, but they buy them anyway and then get mad about the flaws.
Did Advanced Warfare sell well?
It was a COD, of course it did. I don't know how
but I mean,
it's
like by their standards,
Right,
was it
by their
on
standards.
par?
pantheon of CODs, though.
Oh,
Because if
man,
it
I'm
was,
trying-
then again, it comes back to, we all know that Call of Duty just, redoes the same thing because people buy it and it's a cash cow, right?
Yeah. And even last time when it did something new, they're now just redoing that thing.
Yeah, so if you're on the board of Activision, you're just like, yeah, let's keep doing this. This keeps making us money. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. I'll make a deal with Activision. As soon as they make a good Call of Duty, I will say Call of Duty is good. It's pretty easy. And they came so close last time. They were so close. The movement system was fun, and it was a fun game to play. All they had to do was give those dedicated servers that they swore up and down they were going to have. And then post-launch, they suddenly went, oh, we didn't say that. We never said dedicated servers. We said dog shit. That we promised you a fucking poop sandwich. Now go eat it. It's like they were so close to having a good game last time, and they wouldn't take that one miserable step to make it a good game. It actually made me sad.
I'm looking because I really want to know exactly how many copies of Advanced Warfare were sold, and I don't think that Activision makes that information public.
Oh, they do. They brag about it all the time.
Usually, when
That's
only
their
sales
job,
numbers,
Freddy.
though, when they hit their $1 billion mark, like, oh, it hit $1 billion again. But anything before that,
The site
usually-
that I always look at lists it at 16.6 million global on all platforms.
copies.
18.6 million.
Copies
That's
sold?
that's for Advanced Warfare. What's the one before that?
Was it
Ghosts
Ghosts? I think it was Ghosts.
Yeah, Ghost was horrible. Then Black Ops 2 was alright.
Black Ops 2 was alright. Not great, but yeah. Oh shit, Oshi! I didn't see Oshi in there. What's up?
Tell him to fuck off.
No, Oshi's my friend. You don't talk shit about Oshi.
I talk
Same.
shit about whoever I want. Don't make
So,
me talk shit about you.
On the same site, Ghost sold 25 million across everything.
Wait, 25 million from Ghosts?
Yeah.
And then down to 18.1 for Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
That's a
Because
steep drop.
Ghost was on the back of Black Ops and everybody thought it was going to be good. So they bought it. But like Ghost had no real redeeming qualities whatsoever.
They had
Advanced
different devs,
Warfare
right?
did. Yeah.
I don't know. Black Ops was fun. It was enjoyable. A little lackluster, but still, it was pretty good. Black Ops 2, took a little bit of a step back, but it wasn't fucking atrocious. Black Ops 3, they're kind of going in this different direction. I really wish that they would take it in a different direction. If all three studios in the past did work independent of each other. I know when Call of Duty 4 dropped, it was Infinity Ward and was it Treyarch that was side by side with them at that point? I think it was. And Treyarch was like, whoa, Modern Warfare, what the fuck? I thought we were still doing World War II shit. And then they released, what was it, World at War? That came after Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And they're like, well, I guess we're still back here in the past. And then everyone went, modern or futuristic warfare from there on forward. It'd be kind of nice if they would bring it back just to change up the landscape. If you're going to stick to first-person shooters, do something a little different. But as far as what I've seen in the Black Ops 3 trailer,
the next game, whether it's a Call of Duty title or a Battlefield title that goes back in time, is going to be hailed as the game that finally did something different.
yeah, it's not even going to be like, everyone will call it that. They're like, oh, revolutionary, groundbreaking. They're doing something totally different.
And I feel like they're both sitting there, Activision and EA are both like, no, you go first. I don't want to do this.
You know what would be amazing? I would pay good money to play Call of Duty Gettysburg. Imagine the control scheme. You know, like fucking press A to load powder, press X to tamp powder, press B to load ball, press fucking whatever to tamp a ball. You'd be great. You'd have all these no-scopers doing like 1080 no-scopes just while they fucking reload and stuff. It'd be amazing.
Dude, I'd love to do weaponry.
Best game ever. Abraham
musket.
Or fucking what was
Rate
the name
of fire,
of the guy?
1 shot per hour.
It'd be dope. Imagine that. The shot kills you. You don't die from the shot because it was severely low velocity by the time it traveled across the battlefield and hit you. But you do die a week later from infections from the materials that your clothes that end up in the bullet wound.
It would just result in people waiting around corners waiting to club you with a club of their musket instead of trying to load that thing and shoot it.
Yeah. It'd be amazing. Call of Duty Gettysburg would be fucking sick.
Only use me blade.
Your entire team could dedicate themselves to rolling a fucking cannon. Like, lads, if we all roll this cannon and get a grape shot in the right place, their entire team is dead.
Should make a survey for that game.
Yep.
I imagine someone somewhere is going to get mad at me for having fun about Gettysburg. Well, come on the fuck.
Only use me blade would have to change it to only use my bayonet. And I'd be okay with that.
Only use my finger.
Only use my finger. In me butthole.
No.
Still can't believe you did that. All right. I want to hit the next one because we are rapidly killing time here. From Tizzinator. The Squad. Your opinions on the game, and do you think big FPS franchises like Battlefield have become too casual? Few examples. That could sail a massive battleship in BF 1942, and you can't do that anymore in the newer ones. There's less focus on teamwork and objective gameplay. It's noob-friendly mechanics like health regen.
I want to point out one thing. When people moved that battleship in 1942, the whole map became unplayable for everybody. So yeah. I just want to stop anybody who thinks that was the greatest thing ever because it sucked.
It's not like it was the glory days of gaming and everything was amazing. It was
no. It was like, God damn it, stop crashing the carrier into the other carrier because nobody else can play.
So it's kind of like they redid it again with the fucking tower coming down and Siege of Shanghai and BF4, right? Don't take down the fucking tower. Half the team's going to crash out.
No. Well,
lost connection.
It was great. You could weaponize that thing and take every fucking flag on a map. It was awesome. Or you'd have just fucked over your own team because it was all of your guys who crashed out, one or the other. Yes, of course the games are becoming more casual because they're designed and marketed to make money.
You guys obviously haven't played Bloodborne.
You want to... Yeah, but that's not exactly rolling over like sales records.
I just wanted to bring it up because I love it.
I love it too, but I'm not going to sit here.
Are you going to get it? Are you going to rent it?
I get to play it because we're borrowing a PS4, and Phil the Spanner is going to send me his copy of Bloodborne because he doesn't appreciate it enough.
Topic derailed. Move on.
But you know, it's always going to be a case of trying to increase a player base. So yeah, of course they're becoming more casual, but I disagree with the interpretation of what the casual actually is. Not being able to move like a giant, machine in a game. Like let's say the AT-AT in Battlefront, that's going to be on rails. It's not on rails because the game is going to be casual. It's on rails to limit the possibility of shit going terribly fucking wrong and ruining everybody's experience within the game. We want games to be more complex. We want higher textures. We want better frame rates. We want more complex internal systems working within that game to do amazing and incredible things. Something's got to give. You got to understand that there's limitations that can be placed on any system.
Yeah, because we also don't want to have to think too much, and we just want to be able to fire it up and play for a little bit and not do too much actual planning and getting involved and stuff, right?
Exactly. Casual doesn't necessarily mean bad. BF4, I didn't think it was a bad game because it was casual. I thought it was a bad game because it had a huge amount of annoying, pointless, garbagey systems in place that were just silly. But that wasn't that didn't make it casual. Information overload and all this stuff doesn't make a game casual. Sometimes casual is nice. Sometimes just firing up a game and running down a hallway and killing 2 people and winning a round is fun.
Yeah, and to be honest, when you're talking big FPS franchises, they'll go with what they think the market wants.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've played Squad. We've talked to Squad before, the developers on the Battlefield podcast, and it's an entirely different game, and it's by no means casual, but it's not going to have the kind of reach that a Battlefield or a Call of Duty title have. It just isn't. It's not. The demographic isn't there, and that's not what they're going after. But for someone like EA and Activision, that is what they're going after. They're going after the most amount of people that they can get. And so casual becomes more user-friendly, easier to get into. Casual, I don't know, casual sometimes gets a sort of this, it's like a bad word almost. And I don't know, I don't think it is. Gaming is gaming, and if you want to play something more complex, then seek that out.
Yeah, exactly. Casual can be great. Like, it can be fantastic. And casual is also something that exists on a scale. It's not like a defined point. It's elastic. Like, Jess mentioned Bloodborne, which to the vast majority of people is like not a casual game. But to people who play a certain type of game, it'll be close to casual. Like people who play stuff like AI War and things like that. Like games that are basically systems.
Yeah, casual is your own definition of, like, everybody's definition of casual will vary.
Yeah. There's nothing inherently unenjoyable about a casual game. I keep saying this, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare is casual as all fuck. Because it's aimed at, like, tweens. But guess what? It's fun as hell. It's really enjoyable to play that game. There's nothing bad there. It's like, if anything, I'd need to levy some blame at people who genuinely think that they're going to go out and buy a copy of a game that's going to sell 15 million copies and it's not going to be a little bit casual.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely
The
a
Batman
difference between
games?
casual and simple, dumbed down.
Yeah,
watered down
like
shit.
Correct. There's
the Batman Arkham games are amazing.
I can't
love
wait
them.
for the new one.
I
Sorry.
adore them. I'm amped for the new one too. Casual as fuck.
Yep.
Not a bad thing.
Nope.
Great stories, great mechanics, great environments. It's Batman.
It's a
So it's
button
awesome.
masher's dream, which is why I fucking love that game.
Yeah,
There's no
Big
thought
into
process.
those.
Fucking smash, 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 smash.
The only
They're
experience
fun.
I have with those are, I remember my ex-girlfriend would play it on Xbox 360, and I would just watch.
They're so good. They're just so damn enjoyable. Like the story writing isn't like the greatest ever, but it's still really, really good. Definitely pulls you in.
it's not amazing, but it's Batman, so who fucking cares?
Bingo.
Okay, Batman needs he needs motivation for this scene. What's his motivation? He's Batman. Cool. Yeah, that's all you gotta do. But like, I'll occasionally use casual as a bad word, as well myself. I'm not above doing it, but I try and do it very specifically when I see casualization as a bad thing, where I think that a game has genuinely lost something that was core to its design. Like, let's say Bloodborne came out and all of a sudden you were able to just save the game anywhere. So if you died, you could just like go back a save and you wouldn't have lost your blood echoes.
I would break the entire game.
Like, that would be a negative casualization of a game. Right there. That would be a perfect example. You'd have this like dread and threat that's supposed to like hang over you all the time as a player. If I die, it really puts huge pressure on me.
Yeah, because you've taken away a vital part of that game.
Yeah, of its tone.
Yeah.
Like, that's poor casualization. Making a game more accessible to more people in huge iterative steps, as has happened with FPS games, that's not. Like, it's not like we went from 1942 to Battlefield 4.
No, and you got to give a little bit of credit. Like, they've tried along the way to leave some options in for people who don't like some of these quote-unquote noob-friendly mechanics. Right, there's hardcore mode, and that was in BF3 and BF4 for people that didn't like the health regen and some of those things. So they've tried not to make it purely too different for people that still want that. And hardcore in BF3, I don't know much about BF4, but hardcore modes in BF3 were very popular with a lot of people.
They were, and at the end of the day, it's an arcade shooter.
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking that an arcade shooter at any point isn't casual to a degree, you're kind of crazy. You know, it's not a knock on anybody for playing the game, but it's an arcade shooter. It sells well precisely because you get to load in and run around, and we've all had those ridiculous gunfights that we've survived, which in a more hardcore, you know, shooter game, we would just get insta-wrecked for the way that many of us played BF3 a lot of time. Bounding around corners, completely uncaring about who was there because we happened to have a saw and we could just hip-fire the shit out of whatever happened to be there.
Yeah.
So, I don't see it as a bad move. I see any casualization of this series has been completely offset in the world of bad moves because they keep having botched launches with poor, you know, core mechanics of detection and connectivity for players. Seems to be a grosser crime than just like wanting more people to play your game.
I think the only thing we actually didn't discuss regarding this question specifically is our opinions on the squad itself. I want to hear from Chalk specifically because you definitely seem to be...
I have like a 3-hour video up on the channel.
Oh, you do? Up on YouTube?
Yeah. Are we talking about squad, or is there a different squad that I'm not aware of?
No, squad.
No,
Okay.
squad.
Yeah, we had
for a little bit.
two developers on a podcast 2 weekends ago, I think. Actually,
I do remember that. I haven't had a chance
in my
to watch it.
house. And we talked to them for
Nice.
like an hour and a half, and then we played the game for an hour and a half. So it's fun. It's early on. I mean, it's an early in development game. But they have some good ideas. And for those people that enjoy less of the casual aspect or want more of the quote-unquote, I don't know, I don't like calling them realistic things because they're not, but like that style of play, it's got good potential, I think.
Nice.
Tactical.
Go ahead.
It's not quite as tactical or as serious as Arma. I think it's trying to fit somewhere in between, which is a good spot to be because Arma can be a little too much for some people,
Dude,
whereas
Arma-
Battlefield is not enough, right?
Arma is extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
I tried getting into it, and I will give it a shot again, but I mean, I even had Slats walk me through it one night. It probably wasn't the greatest opportunity because it was like 2 in the morning. I'd already been playing for like 5 hours, but he was very patient with me. He was really good about trying to explain everything, but holy shit is that game still incredibly overwhelming.
Plus,
There's a
I
lot
don't
of
mean to be a
controls.
jerk. I do not mean to be a jerk, but Slats has played Arma for 10 fucking years. He's fucking shit at it.
But Squad is going to be a little bit less intimidating. You know, you don't have to have... I mean, for Arma to get into it, it helps to have some people that know what they're doing show you around. With Squad, I think it'd be a little bit easier to pick up on your own.
Good. That's good to hear.
If it's anything like Project Reality, like I only played Project Reality towards the end of its kind of life at the start of my renaissance on PC.
You're going to piss off a lot of people if you call it dead.
But like you were able to just like jump in and play.
Yeah.
You know, like yes, there was some stuff to learn, but there was members of the community who were willing to teach you, even after probably having thought like 12,000 other people. So that was pretty cool.
And yeah, that video that Jess linked, it's really, really early gameplay. Keep that in mind when you watch it.
Oh, I linked
I guarantee you that game's going to be very different.
If it's anything I've
Oh,
learned,
it's more of a comment to Sleepy, I think.
if there's anything I learned about early access gameplay from DayZ is that people don't care and do not read all these warnings you put up front, and they're still going to bitch about it, Chalk.
I know,
So
the dangers of early access.
prepare for the downvotes. Okay.
It played really well, though. I should say that it played really well for that early of a stage.
Yeah.
It ran well.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna move on. I eat rocks. I apologize. We're gonna skip your topic because we kind of touched upon that a little bit earlier on, and it really kind of goes hand in hand with everything we had discussed earlier anyway. So we'll move on because Testbot had a couple of good ones. First up that he had was
Nope,
Deus.
we're not ready.
We're not ready.
I don't think we're ready for that tonight.
I would say it's totally up to you because it's gonna throw this right at you.
Scanner and I mean,
Oh, Deus Ex?
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to just
I haven't played the previous. I haven't finished Revelations or whatever yet, so I
Human
can't.
Revolution.
Yeah, that one. Sure.
Things
have
I
it-
need to be able to properly discuss Deus Ex.
Yeah, I need to read through the Game Informer because they have that exclusive. I need to look through all that stuff, and I haven't been able
I need a couple of days. There's some books I gotta read. Gibson, Banks, that kind of shit.
Oh,
I need
Jesus, we're
at
going even
least
farther
a
into
giant
me.
tub of lube to discuss
Okay.
this game properly because I'm just gonna be sat here fucking tearing the dick off myself.
I do have.
Can we plan?
I do. Have
Can
a
we plan on
question.
tackling this next week?
Oh yeah.
Okay, then Jess, when you
I'll ask my
your
lube
question, but
guy.
then when you're done, make sure to put that at the top of the document, please.
Okay.
We're gonna tackle that next week, first thing.
Chalk, do you have the director's cut edition?
I think so. I have the one that I bought on a Steam sale a while ago.
Okay, because I think it did come out a year or two ago, but that is the Deus Ex Experience edition. So
Yeah, I bought it
definitely-
like 4 times, I think.
It's very good.
I don't know. It just says Deus Ex Human Revolution, and then I have the missing link.
Oh no! Well, the thing is, so Deus Ex Human Revolution, I'll just quickly, just a little bit, just dip into it because I followed
Just the tip of it.
just a tip. I followed this game like a hawk, and their dev team was so into it. They were so passionate about it. They loved the universe. They worked with one of the original creators, and Blasphemy, I can't remember his name, but they did everything really, really well. Like it's a Deus Ex game through and through. You can play it through non-lethally, ghost, no kills, except they outsource the boss fights. So if you were playing through the game as a hacker or as a sneaky sneak McSneakster, then you were fucked because you had to kill the bosses, and the bosses are obviously tanks. So they messed that up. They realized it. They took the feedback. They kind of went back into their little cave, took their DLC, their extra content, and redid the boss fights, stuck those all together with the DLC, and then put it back out as a director's cut. So now the boss fights in the director's cut, they're more Deus Ex. So if you are a stealth hacker or whatever, I believe you still have to kill the boss, but you have, like, they opened up different pathways, different, different strategies for killing the bosses. You didn't have to.
So
get
you're
your
saying
gun.
I should just buy that one?
Yeah.
That's
You
something.
can
It'll
probably
be
find
like
it on
$5 on
Yeah.
the next Steam sale.
Yeah.
So, all right. You got a couple of questions. First off, Sleepy Mercy asks, what genre is Deus Ex?
It's
Awesome.
an FPS RPG action.
Okay.
You can play it
an awesome
literally
game.
however you want.
How many titles are in the franchise?
11.
11.
He's just making.
There's a bunch of
Shit.
other platforms.
Great.
You might even be right, because there's at least 3 for iOS.
That's true. There's Deus
Okay,
Ex
well, what are
Fall,
the
which
main
is a piece of
ones?
Shit. There's
For,
Deus Ex.
for any actual Deus Ex fan, there's 2. There's Deus Ex. There's problematic things that happened after Deus Ex.
No. Okay.
Yes.
We'll
There's
discuss.
a time period that Scanner doesn't want to admit exists.
We'll just say there's Deus Ex.
It doesn't exist.
2001. It's about 14 years ago. There's
That's
Deus
hard.
Ex Invisible War, which is technically part of the series, and I just like to
Technically.
see it. I just like to see it as kind of a creative outlet, because I gotta be honest, I loved that game for what it was. Like, it's not really a Deus Ex game. It's just kind of a game set sort of in that universe.
I like to see it
I
as
liked
the
it.
floor of Picasso's studio where paint that had no value ended up after masterpieces were created.
I had fun playing it. So it's Deus Ex Invisible War, and then Deus Ex Human Revolution. And then the new one they just announced is Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which is, well, it goes Deus Ex Invisible War, and then Human Revolution is a prequel to the original Deus Ex, and then Mankind Divided is a sequel to Human Revolution. So I would be interested in seeing some main characters from the original, kind of young, be in, I don't know, in the...
So, can I get away with playing Deus Ex Human Revolutions and be okay
Yes.
going into the next one?
Yes.
Okay. Because goal this week is to play Deus Ex, the one you bought me, Jess. Human Revolutions.
Yeah, I mean, you can play it. You don't need to have played the first one, but addendum, you could make a solid case for the first Deus Ex actually being like objectively one of the best games ever made.
I don't know if it aged well though, because I feel like
No, it didn't. It didn't age well.
ago.
But you can have these discussions. Like that's like saying, you know, a classic car can never be one of the best games ever or best cars ever made because blah 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 blah. It has to be considered within its time, its impact upon gaming, and everything that came before.
and the
Very
story,
valid point.
it's one of the most relevant stories to, you know, actual real life that there is in gaming. Period. I mean,
It's amazing.
yeah.
Okay, we need to move on.
Yeah,
My
we
bad.
can't split.
Because I'm trying to plan out my week, and
Okay.
you know, family work and everything. I don't have a whole lot of time for gaming, so if I'm jumping into something new, I legit need to like plan it ahead of time. So I make sure I try and set up my free time as best I can throughout the rest of the week. So, playtime for Deus Ex Human Revolutions. About how long?
If you play
Depends.
it, I mean,
More
I have.
time than you got.
If I'm impatient and I'm fucking running through it like a madman.
You're dead.
Can't.
Tough shit.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
dead.
so we'll back. What do you think? But like 20 hours? Or are we talking like a 50-hour game? And I know I'm throwing
Probably-
very general numbers out there, but is it like
At
something?
least 20, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, you could do it
Especially
in
if you're
20
new.
if you're smart.
Like
You can do it in 20.
Yeah, like
I'm
you
dumb,
can
so it's gonna
play
take me 40.
Like you can
Yeah.
play it like you normally play it with like soldiers, you know, just.
I'll
shooting
give you
bang, bang.
incentive. I will give
But
you
it's hard.
incentive.
Oh, yeah?
If you have finished Deus Ex by the next podcast, I will not call you fat or dumb for a week.
A month, because that's a feat.
Nope, a fucking week. I am only human.
I'll
That's a
try.
happy week, bro. That's a good fucking week right there. You know
I
I'm
think I
going
can
to
do
be
it.
insulting you about stuff, but not the fact that you're
Like-
fat and stupid.
If you defeat Human Revolution in 21 hours, cookies, that you didn't play it correctly.
Ooh. All right, fuck it. We'll get off. We're done. We got to get back on something else. I just wanted to know that so I could plan my week ahead because all I've been doing is playing DayZ like fucking crazy right now. And oh shit, Zergos! What's up, dude?
You just got back from Guam. Well, just
Oh, shit.
a few weeks ago, I think it was.
I will race you, Snoof, finishing that game.
It's not fair.
I'm buying it right now.
Fuck.
Nice.
I've already got installed, so I got
Director's cut?
that on him.
So
And
worth it.
Gaben gets another sale.
You know what?
See?
The only issue I had with the director's cut is it was probably because I already played the Missing Link DLC because I bought the original, then I bought the DLC, and then I bought the director's cut. Is playing the Missing Link is long, and I wasn't a super huge fan of it. It just gets kind of dull.
I would assume that's not really required, is it?
I think it is.
No.
It inserts it into the director's cut.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Okay, two more
you can
topics I
burn
want to cover
it.
for the night, and the next one's probably going to take up a good amount of time. And it's from Testbot, and they got one more from Billy the Kid that I really want to cover because that's another hot topic within the gaming community, as it were, and beyond. So the last one from Testbot, and I'm really curious to hear about this because out of the group, fucking big surprise, I'm the only one that hasn't played it. GTA 5. What are your thoughts on the game? The story online? Have you played a console version as well as a PC version? What are your thoughts on the port quality? I do not know who I want to hand this off to, so I'm going to let this kind of be a free-for-all and fucking fight amongst yourselves. Who wants to tackle it first?
I talk too much.
No, you don't talk enough, actually. That's your problem.
No. I mean I talked in the previous topic a lot.
Oh.
GTA 5, I'm shit at it. That's what I know. But I feel like Scanner's been doing it a lot, doing the theater mode or whatever.
Yeah, I've got like maybe, I don't even want to think about how many hours I have in GTA 5. And I've been too sick the last 2 days to really bother playing any games. And I've still got a stupid amount of hours in GTA 5. It's
Fucking loved fisticuffs, by the way, bro.
great, thank you. It's great and it's fun. and it's very well done in a very many ways. It's not without its flaws. Here's my biggest thing, right? And everybody's gonna get really angry at me for saying this, but I'm gonna bookend. I'm gonna criticize, and then I'm gonna praise Rockstar. Okay, so nobody lose their shit. At this point, the whole kind of sarcastic take on modern life thing is a little bit played out for me. The value of GTA in that sense has declined for me greatly over the last decade or so because the rest of the world is caught up to satire and making fun of itself and everyday circumstances being ridiculous. Like, this is a common thing now in TV shows that are broadcast. Like, the value of satire within GTA is lost when you've got shows on TV like Family Guy. You know what I mean? It's not as cutting edge anymore. It's not as interesting in that sense anymore. And so what GTA did well was they appeared to understand this, that, okay, that's the universe they've created with GTA, but they actually made a very interesting and very human story within there, in the sense that The Sopranos was a human story and shit like that. You know what I mean? They did well on that front. What Rockstar did more than anything with Grand Theft Auto was prove, hands down, they are smarter and better than any other developer or publisher out there right now. They've just got that shit locked down. They sold the game 3 times. They rode the new generation of hardware better than anybody else because they weren't just selling you a shitty fucking remaster with better graphics and stuff. Each version of the game gave you a reason to upgrade to it if you wanted to. An actual valid reason. GTA comes out on the older consoles, comes out on the newer consoles with first-person mode, which, if you've ever played GTA, is a big enough reason to get it. To experience a world of that magnitude and of that detail within first person, that's a big thing if you're a gamer. It's enough of a reason to buy it again. And then the PC version comes out and they've got this editor thing in it, which is, hands down, all other games companies better be looking at this thing going, we should do this. Like, if GTA wasn't going to be the king of fucking YouTube for the next 2 years, without this thing, it's guaranteed to be that with this thing in it. Like, it's an incredibly powerful tool that enables the player base to be creative with what they do and how they show what they do. And then when the mods come out, it's going to be apeshit. Like, they know exactly what they're doing. Rockstar have been so incredibly smart around GTA. It's crazy. But it never would have worked if the game was shit. And most GTAs aren't shit, and this one isn't. It's actually quite good. That's my thoughts on GTA.
I played the single player on the 360 when it first came out and loved it then. I bought it for PC. I don't think I'm going to play the single player again. But the online stuff is fun if you're patient. And it is good. If you've never played it, you should definitely pick it up.
Sorry.
That's for sure.
I had it on PS3, and I traded it in for The Last of Us on PS4. And then I got it on PC, and it is worlds better on PC.
It is a good port, too. Like, there's a question as to the port quality. It's a good port in the sense it has the same kind of issues that you had on consoles. Like, your character still does stupid shit from time to time, and you're yelling at the keyboard or the controller. It's like, no, that's not what I fucking meant when you jump off things.
No, lol. I'm not a huge fan of the lack of a field of view slider, but unless I just can't find it. But yeah,
No,
it's
I
a pretty
believe-
decent port.
I heard that they don't have the field of view slider. If they do, it only goes up to like 85 or something like that, roughly.
90 or
Maybe 90 at
GTFO,
best. Ouch. That's not too far off what I like playing at, though, so it wouldn't bother me
If
too
you're
much.
playing in third-person view, it doesn't really...
True.
Yeah, honestly, it
Impact, yeah.
doesn't matter to me.
And I gotta see my
gotcha.
outfit, so I'm always in third person.
And
Yeah.
like, I'm one of those people that can get a bit like nauseous sometimes with a narrow field of view. I can't remember what it's called. It's called something. So I really appreciate a field of view slider in a game so I can find that
Same.
spot that stops me feeling like I'm going to puke on my keyboard.
Yeah.
But I haven't had that issue with GTA. Once again, probably because it's third person. Like, that's where I spend most of my time, because if you're in first person, it's a locked camera and then you can't do the editor stuff.
If I still had fun money income in any way, shape, or form, I would have already bought this game. And you know me, I'm big on social gaming. I like playing with people, whether it's just one person or 10. Lately, it's only been like a few people. And it's been kind of nice to kind of mix things up, although I do miss the big group gaming. But more on that later. Jess, do not let me forget to discuss that later on before the end of the podcast. The Dawnbreaker community gaming nights and then the Patreon gaming things. I haven't really seen anyone throwing anything like horrendously bad about GTA 5 as far as, like you said, Skinner, it has its issues. It is not without some sort of issue. But as far as I know, with the exception of the load times, which I do believe I read that they patched that recently, it's not like there's anything glaringly terrible about the game that makes it not a worthwhile purchase even at $60. I had it in my shopping cart with the coupon, $45, and I looked at the wife, I was like, please? She's like, no. So I didn't get it. But I'm hopeful. If people are still playing it next month, there's a pretty good chance I could snag it.
So it was
I was gonna.
It's I don't want to put any spoilers out, because like, even if you haven't like played the story to the point where I am, or Snoob, if you're not going to play the story for a little while or whatever, nobody wants to comment about it because everybody loves the kind of childishness of GTA, but it's a bit more grown up even in the writing than previous iterations, and like, it's still like satirical and stereotypical and crass in places, and then in other places it's not. It's a very strange GTA, but it's really enjoyable. One thing I do have to say, the freaking 3 different protagonists thing was genius. I know it doesn't sound like much, like, 3 dudes, like 3 criminals instead of 1 criminal. But beyond that,
lady in there, that would have been cool.
What it allows them to do mechanically is fucking fantastic. I really noticed it when I did the first like solo heist, the actual like story mode heist, the first one that you do. It was non-stop tense when I was playing it, because I was moving from character to character as they did their really important things. It cut out map traversal. It cut out walking down corridors. It cut out all this stupid shit that I would have had to do had I been one guy. So it was like, this moment's really tense. Holy crap, what's going on? I gotta switch to Trevor now, and you switch to Trevor. And then I gotta switch to Franklin, and you switch to Franklin. And it was fucking genius. When it comes to pacing, it's like they looked at TV and I went, right, we've got interactivity which TV doesn't have, but what does TV have that we don't have? Edits. They've got dramatic cuts from action to action, and we can do that with our 3 characters.
And it also allowed you, if you got tired of one character's story, like, it allowed you to switch, because their stories are all very different.
Yeah.
So you were never just locked into one storyline that maybe got you down, or if you got stuck or whatever. And the other thing that was great is, when you're not controlling a character just in the free world, they do their own stuff, right? And there's sometimes you'll switch to a character and you wonder, what the hell is Trevor doing out here?
Yeah, why is he under a pier with a guy tied to the pier?
Right. So just those moments alone, those little moments, make that game.
I have noticed as well, I play the characters very differently. When I'm Trevor, I'm a psycho. I can just do whatever I want. If I want to fucking 5-star and fight the cops, I can do that. No problem. When I'm Michael, I tend to be more like calm, but when somebody like pisses me off in a way that I think would get to Michael, I punch the shit out of them. And strangely enough, when I'm Franklin, I play super cautious when I'm Franklin, because Franklin's a black dude who's a criminal. The last thing he wants is to give the cops a reason to look at him. Like, so that's just the way I play Franklin. Yeah, I play him super cautious. And it took me maybe 15 hours into the single player before I realized that I was doing this without any prompt from the game. It's just the
Right.
way I was reacting to them.
It just kind of makes you do that without overtly telling you that that's what you should do.
Yeah. It's weird. I love it. It's very interesting. So there's your GTA 5 question answered.
I want it. God damn it. Oh well. All right. That pretty much covers it. Everyone got in what they wanted to discuss about it. So we're going to jump into the last topic from Billy the Kid. What are your thoughts on the recent news about esports on ESPN? Skinner, you had something specific about this regarding a sports caster that tweeted something.
Yeah, an ESPN analyst guy kind of went on a bit of a rant about how he doesn't want to have to talk about it, and if he's asked to talk about it by ESPN, he'll quit and stuff. And it just made me laugh because who the fuck is going to ask him to talk about it? Nobody. He doesn't know anything about it. He's got nothing of value to say.
Right.
But here's the thing: like ESPN are smart. It was pointed out by one of the guys I follow on Twitter. He's a developer for Mode 7. And he pointed out that this just makes sense for ESPN to be putting out A, supporting messages of esports by broadcasting esports, and then B, messages that are derogatory towards esports because people will watch both. If I put up a video tomorrow saying esports are great, everybody should watch esports, people will watch it. If I put up a video tomorrow saying esports are shit, nobody should watch them, people will watch that video. There's commercial value in both messages, even if I'm the same person. It doesn't matter. So that's all ESPN are doing here. They're giving a platform, and then they're showing their own pundits reacting badly to them giving that platform because that's more eyes on ESPN. But, I just think it's interesting. I think everybody puts way too much focus on what they see as being mainstream acceptance of esports. Everybody hates sports and everybody loves sports. Sports isn't a giant umbrella term where I say I love all sports. I think curling and American football and boxing and ice hockey are all wonderful things. It's not the way it works. I don't love every sport in the world. I love some sports, and then other sports suck.
Agree.
So if you want mainstream acceptance, understand that hand in hand with mainstream acceptance comes mainstream derision. Because the more people that know about something and like it, the more people know about it and hate it. So just fucking deal with it.
Oh!
That's the way. Big
Dog
cow.
Wars.
I keep waiting for him to eat you.
Look at the camera. He's a fat dog.
What's going on, Dad? Oh,
Now he's looking at my
he's
wife
so
like,
cute
help
and
me.
wiggly.
Fucking save me.
Hashtag
He's
dog
afraid you're going to eat him. Did he say he wanted a hot dog?
Dawnbreaker podcast. Sorry, I saw Jess's stupid cat dog. I was like, I'm going to show these people what a real fucking dog looks like.
I'm actually concerned that she might be like...
Don't. Whenever I see a dog lately, I get sad because 350 fucking dogs were rescued from basically like a puppy factory
Holy hell.
near us. And the temptation to fucking take in a dog is huge right now. I can't do it because I'm not going to bring in a dog that I can't walk every day and shit. Not going to happen.
Find a cat dog.
I take care of my
She
pets.
just sleeps. She doesn't even care if we go walking. If it's raining, she will go outside, pee, and she will drag me back inside. She'll be like, we ain't going walking today.
Dude, my dog's
okay.
a fucking drama queen. When it's rainy out, he walks out, you can see him picking up his paws God, it's fucking wet. What is shit?
Yeah,
And he
I've got a
pees, he
cat
comes
who's
right back in,
afraid
he's
of
like,
the wind.
fucking hey, wait, clean my paws.
One of my cats is legitimately afraid of the wind. If he goes outside and a strong wind touches him, he runs upstairs and he hides for a day.
That happens to my
It's like, I'm
dog
not going back
a lot.
outside, man. It's fucking windy out there.
She was afraid of flies. She'll do that with flies. She sees one.
Well, I don't know, I think the whole thing with esports being on ESPN, it's good. Like I'm not a huge fan of ESPN, while it is good because I love sports, especially football. A lot of the shit they do, I could really do without. It's just like anything else, where like that is their one and only thing. When those sports aren't actually happening, they still have to fill up their page with articles, and it's just like gaming news. If there's no real gaming news going on, they're going to fill it up with the shit in the background. And ESPN, to me, is just really, really bad. But with gaming being relatively new for them, from the esports scene, like I think it'd be interesting, and it's obviously doing extremely well for them. Everything they've put on has just fucking blown up. They had some weird hashtag they had going on for the event. It was yesterday, right? During the day?
Yeah.
I know I was sleeping. I came back from fishing, and I don't know, I was feeling kind of weird yesterday, and I was just in and out on my couch. It was weird. Anyway, I was able to kind of catch up after everything was done. I got on Twitter. I'm like, the hell is everyone talking about? And backtracking, figure out what was going on. It does extremely well. The community, the gaming community as a whole, generally speaking, seems to be really for it. Anything you can do that's a positive light on gaming and to kind of show a different aspect of it, yeah, fuck it, why not? Go for it, man. I think it's great.
It's not really a shock either that it's Heroes of the Storm that was on, because there's like a huge, like, multifaceted connection between MLG are going to be at the X Games with COD, and COD is Activision, and Activision Blizzard is Heroes of the Storm. So there's obviously inroads being made to bring in kind of a multi-brand esports experience. They're also doing the international with Valve. Well, they already did it. I don't know if they're going to do it again, and so forth. So people are just going to have to get used to it, because the only impact this can have, if you're genuinely mad that video games are on ESPN, you've got a singular choice, which is to not watch ESPN. Because unless it pisses you off that much, your anger is valueless. Anger that doesn't change your behavior as a consumer has no value. Because guess what? You're still tuning into the fucking thing. You're still going to watch the sports that you want to watch on ESPN. So you being pissed off and tweeting about ESPN doesn't mean shit to ESPN, because they're not losing a customer. All they're actually doing is gaining more customers, because all the people who just want to watch esports but might not have a huge interest in actual sports are suddenly going to be watching ESPN. You know, it's kind of win-win for them. Once nobody at ESPN shits the bed, if ESPN pull a valve and they think any publicity is bad publicity and just pull the plug on the whole thing, that's going to be bad. But if they just do what they do and they just have it up whenever there's an event that they want to cover and there's a lull in their schedule, what will get really interesting is, when will it get to the point where real sports seasons and esports seasons are avoiding each other? Like, imagine if Riot struck a deal where League of Legends LCS was going to be on ESPN, and they re-timetabled to avoid the basketball, baseball, football peaks. That'd be kind of crazy. But that's where it might end up being, because esports is just growing and growing. Nearly 500,000 people watch League on Sundays when the LCS is on. That's crazy.
Really?
I mean, that's really, really impressive. And, absent user, you jerk. That is extremely impressive. And also, like, kind of another telling stat, too. Survivor games for DayZ. This is on a game that's still in alpha that a lot of people think won't ever leave alpha. There, I believe, was 50,000 people tuning in, like the max number at one point. Survivor Games 6 did a lot better than 7. 7 had a lot of issues. And they were dropping viewers by literally like 10,000 at a time because the servers kept going to shit.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
I do know that Survivor Games 6, they were 45,000, I believe even 50,000 at one point. It's just kind of getting down to the wire. Friggin' Sacriel during Survivor Games 6, him alone had 26,000 viewers at one point watching it.
Thank you.
Esports scene is alive and well and booming.
And what some people don't realize is that a lot of the television programming that isn't like the primetime main events, they don't pull a lot of viewers. Like 50 grand is a lot. And just because something's on traditional TV doesn't mean that there is a shit ton of people watching it. There's a lot of stuff that very few people watch that would get less viewership than Survivor Games or any of the league streams on Twitch even.
Yeah.
So people sometimes, put that in different categories. They're like, oh, but it's only stuff on the internet. It can't be as popular as stuff that's on the TV. Like, there's a lot of crap on TV that people barely watch.
Right. Well, I think it's easier to monetize via advertising on TV than it is online.
Yeah, but I think we'll see more and more of this coming onto TV because advertisers will look at the numbers that online tournaments and stuff that are streamed on the internet pull, and they'll be like, why can't we bring this on TV where we have established money-making mechanisms for our advertising and all that stuff. And so I'm hoping we'll see more and more of that. I think it's interesting, Scanner, that you mentioned that you hope that ESPN doesn't pull a valve and take some of the criticism they got over this to heart. Hopefully they'll just ignore that and next opportunity they get, they put something up again.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be great, especially because like you could have 500,000 people watching the official Riot Twitch for the LCS or for like Worlds, let's say, might do over 500,000. That's 500,000 people watching one portal. Mm-hmm. One. Then you've got all the people who are watching their local language streams. Then you've got all the people who are watching it in the spectator thing in the client, and various other streams and other people hosting it. Like, now with the host thing, big streamers will host and they'll like chat in the chat with their subs while it's going on and stuff like that. Like, it's a potentially massive market and it's only going to get bigger. It's not going to shrink. It's not going to go away. Nerds and gamers, when it comes to public derision, it's like, oh wow, look, a guy who likes football doesn't like my games. Oh, that's fucking new.
Right. What I liked too is I saw some tweets from people who watched that, had no idea what it was. They weren't familiar with the game at all, and just said, I can't stop watching this. Like, some of that is mesmerizing. You don't necessarily have to be super familiar with how the game works. But with the way the casting is done, it is interesting for people to watch. Just another one of the ESPN, this lady who has a show. I don't know her fucking name. She has a show on ESPN or something every day. She made a lot of tweets talking about how awesome it was. Yeah. Like
how the casters had her so into what she was seeing, even though she didn't understand it, that it was almost impossible to not watch. Like, people who appreciate competition are going to see competition. And then they might get further into the sport in that way. It's the same as when anything would have started. See, all sports, for the most part, feel old to us. They've been so established for so long. American football has been around for how long? And basketball and soccer and fucking boxing all have these rich histories. But if you want to look at a modern sport that, at least in its organized incarnation, hasn't been around a huge amount of time, look at MMA. And the initial pushback against MMA as a sport was huge. It was barbaric. They're trying to kill each other. Oh my God, he kicked that guy in the face. All this shit. And now it's one of the biggest fucking money-making sports out there, is MMA. So you got to persist and persevere, and all of a sudden everybody forgets they ever had an objection because they see the enjoyment in the event.
Yeah.
And it'll be the same. This guy on ESPN who's like, oh, I'd never do this. His fucking kid is going to turn around and go, I play Heroes of the Storm and it's pretty fucking cool.
Well, and that's just one of those really egotistical things to say anyways. Like you said earlier, no one's going to ask him.
Yeah, no one cares.
Like, why does he have to suddenly be the guy that commentates all the stuff on ESPN? He's not. They wouldn't, whatever. I don't know the guy, but if he's a football guy, they wouldn't ask him to do golf either.
Yeah. Are ESPN suddenly going to turn around and ask Day 9, who was one of the shoutcasters for Heroes of the Dorm, to start talking about football? No. Look at him. He clearly knows nothing about football. but he fucking knows a lot about Blizzard games, so they brought him in to do a job. He did really well.
I know a lot about Blizzard games.
I know a lot about football. Not.
I know a lot about nothing. No one's surprised. All right. It's been about an hour and 40 minutes. I think it's a good time to call it quits. Skinner, I know you weren't feeling fantastic, so I won't keep you up any longer. Before anyone goes, please don't leave. There's important thing for Dawnbreaker I wanted to mention. I am going to revive the once done Dawnbreaker Gaming community gaming nights. There's a couple things I'd like to be able to do on a 1 to 2 time, like once or twice a month. Some bigger things, and one of the things I'd like to do, hang on, sorry, my foot itches really bad. Something I'd like to be able to do is with DayZ, and kind of do something similar to what Minder does. Minder is a big DayZ YouTuber, really good dude, very nice, and once a week he hosts kind of like a community thing on Wednesdays. And one of the things he did was he called it Hunt the President, and he had 2 people on a private server that were dedicated as the president, and he'd get everyone in on this private server, set a time and a date, and then he'd kind of give like a general idea as to where he was on the map. He'd say, come find me. And you guys had an hour or so to kill him. I would love to do something similar to that because it just sounds like fun. Like me or whoever being the president flanked by 2 bodyguards, and then that's it. Get on like a 50-player private server and have 47 people come after you and just...
How many rounds are you going to play in an hour? Because last time I played DayZ with you, the only reason you were alive was because of either me or Umi.
I've gotten a lot better since then, though. Thank you very much. Actually, it's funny because now I've been playing with Fake Thriller a lot, and he has taken over my previous role, where I used to always get carried. Like, I'd be the first one to fucking run in, guns blazing, and then die, be like, I'm dead, someone get him. Now he's the one that does it. And I've come in and I've killed the guy that killed him fucking 2 times in a row now. It's actually really funny having the roles reversed. Usually I'm the one that always needs to be carried in new games. Now he's the one getting carried.
You need a belt.
Yep. I would love to be able to do something like that for DayZ, and then probably some other games too. Maybe actually no, not for Hardline because I had installed it. So I have to think of another game that is relatively new that other people would be stoked on. Or go back to some classics like Battlefield 3. I still play that on the regular. I'm actually going to play that when we're done. So we have that, and then there's also the Patreon gaming thing. I know we didn't do anything this past month, and I profusely apologize for that. One of the things for the Dawnbreaker, the Dawnbreaker Patreon was we promised that there would be a specific game night for Patreon members alone. We missed it this month. I promise I'll make it up to you guys next month. I will go ahead. I'll have either we'll figure it out. We'll get a poll up on the Patreon sub forum. So you guys can go ahead and vote. We'll make a plan for it. Unfortunately, I could probably only do this like in the middle of the week, later in the evening-ish. But if I do it on a Thursday, my wife's out of work early, I get on a little earlier, and hopefully accommodate more people, which is the goal. We'll make everything work out. Should be really good. Oh, man, CSGO. I haven't played it in years. Fucking, you know what I mean. I haven't played it in about a year, and I think I played for like 3 hours. If that's what everyone wants to play, I'll suffer through it. Because I'm that kind of guy. Anyway.
I'm going to point out I wouldn't normally smoke on a podcast, but I'm ill, so I don't care about you people.
Setting a bad example for all the kids,
condone
Scanner.
smoking, but sometimes you're just addicted.
Why not? It's legal. It's fine.
So that's that. Keep an eye out on the Dawnbreaker Gaming forums for announcements on this. Once I can kind of nail down some better details, we'll get it figured out and we'll make something happen. I may even drag in someone like Minder, since that was his idea for like a DayZ thing. If he's interested, kind of have a little cross-promotional thing going on, that'd be pretty good. Like I said, he's a good dude to play with him before. I did an event with him one time. We're actually in talks to do another one coming up in the middle of May. We might be able to make this like a big, like I said, cross-promotional thing. We'll see how it goes. Check the forums and our Twitter. When something comes up, you'll hear about it. Other than that, any parting thoughts, guys, before we take off for the night here?
Deus Ex
No,
Director's Cut.
nothing.
Pick it up on
Deus
Steam
Ex.
whenever you see it on sale.
Yep. Speaking of the Dawnbreaker, again, the Patreon, if you guys could check it out, please, we greatly appreciate it. For the website itself, what I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, not many people are here yet. We're doing everything that we want with the site. Everyone's fucking stoked on it. We've had a lot of support. word of mouth is going to help us get bigger. So if you guys could please go out of your way to help spread the word on the website and help it grow, especially on the Patreon and things like that. Like, we cannot express just how much we would appreciate that extra effort. That's one of the biggest ways that things and people and groups and communities can grow is by word of mouth. People just, sharing it with friends, and it just kind of, tumbling stone gathers momentum, and things just kind of take off from there. So if you could please put in that effort, we would so sincerely appreciate it. Other than that, that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I was sick. And the week before, we took a little bit of a break because scheduling conflicts with people. No big deal. But we've got this going forward. Oh, also, if you guys want, and I don't know, Jess, if you want to put up a forum topic for it, or if we just want to leave it up to the community. If there are specific people you want to see as guests on the podcast, let us know. I actually have someone in mind, but I'm kind of retaking that over as far as lining up guests for this so I can offload some of the work off of Jess and the Scanner's plates. But if you guys have suggestions, let me know. I have people that I can get in. I've got some ideas for myself, but for the community, by the community.
Anyone that I think is an arsehole, because then you're going to have to watch me call somebody an arsehole for an hour and a half.
But see, the thing is, Scanner, everyone that I want to bring in says, is that asshole Scanner going to be there? So, I mean, it kind of works both ways.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not my fault they're too afraid to come here and get called an arsehole for an hour and a half. So either way, it's fuck all to do with me.
All right, so...
Fight me. Word fight me.
Word fight you? No. You
Word
shush.
fight.
If you guys want to see someone, hell, you can even tweet it at me, at Snoo603. Doesn't matter. Whatever's easiest, most convenient for you, let me know. That's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys very much for coming out to watch. We greatly appreciate it. Chalk, thank you again for being a guest, especially kind of, extremely last minute on the question there.
Yeah,
Always
thanks, man.
fun.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys
Don't
for
forget
watching.
to donate to the Patreon so I can get my prosthetic golden arm.
Yes, oh my god, I forgot about that. Scanner needs his golden arm, guys. Come on. If you're not donating thousands of dollars right now, you're doing it wrong.
How swag would a golden fucking arm be? I would chop off a real arm for a golden arm.
You know what? I'd be right behind you.
That would fit into our Deus Ex conversation that we're going to have.
It would. I would do it for next week if I could.
Dude, you should get in touch with the developers. Like, guys, I have the greatest advertising campaign planned for you right now. Yeah. They'll back it. They'll make it happen.
Prosthetic arm.
All right. This outro has gone on for too long. Thank you guys for watching. We greatly appreciate it. We'll catch you here, same time as usual next week, same location, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, twitch.tv/Dawnbreaker Gaming. You hear? Bookmark that shit. We'll catch you guys next Monday.
I like to say Dawnbreaker Gaming in my head.
Dawnbreaker.
That's how it's spelled.